Okay, so when we were coming up with this idea for this show, we were like, what are we gonna do for pre-Oscars? What's going on? And I was like, let's do movies that have won Oscars in the past that we absolutely love. This is mainly a selfish reason for me to talk too much.
Here we go.
About
Here we
the
go.
Lord of the Rings. Listen, I am a huge Lord of the Rings fan.
Yes, you are.
Apologies in advance. I'm very excited. And the third film in the trilogy, The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King, was one of the most iconic Oscar wins of all time. Listen, at the 2004 Oscars, it was nominated 11 times, and it got a historic clean sweep of all 11 wins.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, no big deal. It is tied with Titanic and Ben-Hur for 11 wins, but the only one to make a clean sweep. Those two lost a couple. So, Lord of the
Where's
Rings.
the win?
It's the GOAT.
It's the GOAT.
Yes.
It is officially, I would say, the best movie ever. Though I will say that The Two Towers is better than Return of the King.
Best movie ever.
Yes.
Right?
Do you know what I
That's
love?
bold.
He hasn't sat through one, so.
You haven't even seen
Look
one?
at- look at his
9 hours long? How long are these movies?
Listen, it's like a full-time job watching those things.
I have one of those.
I will say, the reaction in here, I'm feeling like I am one of the few Lord of the Rings fans in this room right now. And I am okay with it. By the end of this, you're going to be like, got it. I know who Saruman is. I know who Sauron is. I know what's going on. All right, so I wanted to do a dish in honor of the Lord of the Rings. So I am making the one ring to rule them all, an onion ring.
Yes.
Very on brand. Very on brand.
Thank you very much. I was really, really
We might not know much about Lord of the Rings,
But we know onion rings.
100%. Okay, so we're gonna get started off. I love a really crunchy, crispy onion ring. A lot of crunch, a lot of delicious onion flavor. So I always like using a yellow onion because I find it holds its onion flavor the best
Yes.
when
Yeah.
it cooks down. Now, you get a big one. This is the only time I'm ever gonna tell you to buy an onion not in bulk. Because you know when you get it in that like fishnet bag?
Yes.
They're all little.
Yeah,
We
they're
are.
small, yeah.
We want big onion rings here.
We do.
Yes.
We're
We
going
want bigger.
It is the one ring, guys.
rule
Forged by
them
the
all.
Dark Lord
rule
Sauron
them all.
himself. It's legit. All right, so I'm gonna cut this onion. This is gonna be ridiculous. I'm so sorry. I've got this onion ring, and I'm cutting it into about half-inch thick slices. Now, be a little careful because you do have to actually cut the full onion. You can't cut the bottom off. When you get to about here, I kind of like to go a bit this way. Pick it up, and then you've got a little handle. Now, when you are separating your onion into the actual rings themselves, you just want to kind of pop them out gently, just making sure. Now, this is exactly what I was hoping would happen. This little bit right
Get
here.
rid of it.
Get rid of it.
Yeah.
Get rid of
This
it.
membrane is the thing. You know when you're eating an onion ring and all the onion comes out?
Yes.
And you're
Yeah.
just left with the shell of what
The
you
worst,
said of an
the
onion?
worst.
Yeah.
It's not good. If you do feel the need to remove that, it will help so you do not have that stringy bit of onion in your onion ring. It does take a second, so you don't absolutely have to do this. They will still turn out. But if it's loose like on this onion, comes off really easily,
Yes.
and you are good to go.
That's a good tip.
I know.
Yeah.
That's a pro
Guys,
tip.
I take my onion rings and Lord of the Rings very
Very
seriously.
serious. All the rings, very
All the rings.
All the
very
rings
serious.
cooperated really nicely,
I know.
too.
This is listen. It's because it knows. It also likes Lord of the Rings, guys. All right. So I am just removing that beautiful kind of like membrane on the inside. Typically, when you're eating an onion, you don't notice it, but with an onion ring, you really do. And that is looking beautiful. I love a big onion ring. And don't throw out these guys either. These make really good kind of onion nuggets.
Yeah.
Really tasty. Now, for those onion rings, I like to give them a bit of a dredge, and then I do a batter, and then I do a crunch. It's always a 3-step method in my house. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to make the dredge for these onion rings, which sneakily turns into the batter. So the first thing I need is 3/4 of a cup of all-purpose flour. I'm going into there with that. The all-purpose flour is going to help with browning, also help with coating, obviously, but it doesn't do a ton for crunch. For the crunch factor, I'm going in with cornstarch.
Yes.
Yes,
Cornstarch is
yes.
like crisp city.
Love it.
So good. It doesn't brown up though, so you need kind of the combination of the two to work perfectly. If you wanted to, you could also do like a rice starch or anything like that. Tapioca starch could work as well, but cornstarch is the one I usually have on hand. So I'm going into the bowl with that. Perfect. Oh my gosh, I'm very excited. I've been in a real deep fry mood and a real Lord of the Rings mood. So this is like the perfect episode for me
perfect
today.
combo.
Yeah. Now into there, we're gonna season that up with 1/2 teaspoon of salt, just to give it some flavor. Then I'm going in with about a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. Just a little bit of pepper in there just to give a little bit of smoky heat. And then to flavor this, I'm going in with really anything you want in your spice cupboard. You could do Italian seasoning. You could do like garam masala. That would be really nice, right?
Yeah.
Kind of like onion bhaji, onion ring situation.
Paprika.
Oh, smoked paprika.
Yeah.
That's the nice
Well, we're not doing any of those. We're doing garlic powder and we're doing cayenne powder because the cayenne gives a little heat. But again, whatever you're feeling, you can do it. I'm going in with about a 1/4 teaspoon each. You can add more or less depending on your taste. And I'm also going in with some garlic powder. About a 1/4 teaspoon of that garlic powder gives you like the flavor of roasted garlic without having to roast garlic. Total dream. Give that a good little whisk together to combine. And then I want to go in with those onion rings. Now, obviously, I would keep kind of dividing those rings from the onion, but I'm just going to show you with a few today. So pop those in, give them a little bit of a toss, just to get them coated. Mainly the inside gets coated. Pop them into a separate bowl. And that's gonna help the batter stick onto those onion rings. So for the actual batter for these onion rings, we're gonna use this dredge, and I'm gonna add beer into it. So
I
nothing's.
love that. You're not throwing anything out.
This is the thing I hate. You know when you're making like a dredge station and then you have to throw the
flour
flour out?
Yes.
Not today, everybody. We're saving Middle Earth and the flour. Thanks, guys. Thanks. I'm feeling real cool today. Yeah. All right, we are going in with some beer. Just any type of beer you want. I match my beer today unintentionally.
Yes, you do.
You want to go in with anywhere from about 1/3 or 3/4 of a cup to a cup of beer. That's going to give you enough. And the reason there is like kind of difference in the measurement is you don't know how much of this flour is actually coming out onto those onion rings. So add in enough until it's a nice kind of thin pancakey batter. When you're whisking it, you can feel that cornstarch doing its thing, getting a little claggy.
Dredge then batter.
Yeah.
Genius.
Dredged and battered.
Never done that.
Now, because I didn't do a full onion, I'm gonna add in a little more beer because we're gonna free pour today because we just won the Oscars. We just did a clean sweep with Lord of the Rings. I'm feeling really excited about this. I like all of our choices for movies. I feel like only one is considered a classic, and I think it's Shahir's.
Yeah.
The rest are like deep cuts.
Middle Earth. What's that?
So it's a place I want to live. It's great. All right, so you get that nice and mixed together, and you want it to be a thinner consistency than you think. That's gonna give you a nice crispy situation. If you don't want to use beer here, you could also do this with soda water. That would work perfectly as well. Now, in this bowl right over here, I've got some panko. This is the crunch factor. We want crunchy crunch. So I've got about a cup of panko, but then for a little extra flavor, and because Alex Page is here, I'm gonna put some ground Parmigiano Reggiano.
And everything.
Yes. Now, you want to make sure you are using ground parm and not grated. Grated burns, ground makes a really good crunch.
Yes.
So that's always key. And if you want, Alex, I'm so sorry, you could use shaky cheese if you want to.
No.
Listen, I'm not gonna knock it. I love it. I'm not mad about it. But if you don't want to use shaky cheese, just get the one you find in the deli section.
It is. It's not that bad.
It's not, okay, but that's okay.
We have
I cannot-
reputations.
I was gonna say, Alex, you just said that on national television. All right, so that is beautiful. You can season that up as well with some salt. And then all you need to do to get these onion rings ready to go is set up your little station. Right here, I've got some oil, just canola oil, any sort of neutral oil, at around 350 degrees. You basically want the oil to look a little shimmery, almost like it's moving on the bottom. If you're not sure if it's up to temp, just get some of your panko, pop it in, and if it starts to bubble and fry up, you are looking good to go. So I've got my onions here, got that nice dredged one. That's gonna go into my batter. Get it nice and coated. Goes into that Parmesan panko. I like to do a little bit of a toss.
Yeah.
Tap that down. Grab that beautiful onion ring, and that goes straight, just
a beautiful ring.
just like Isildur didn't do, dropping the ring into the fires of Mount Doom.
What?
We are going to drop this onion ring into the fires of this hot oil, carefully. All right, I'm gonna let those fry for about 3 minutes. I promise I'm almost done talking about Lord of the Rings. Look at that golden brown, crunchy onion ring. Now, before the break, we got to work on these onion rings. We made a beautiful dredge, then made that dredge into a beer batter, and then did a delicious panko Parmesan crust on the outside. So we're just really, really going subtle with these babies. Just like Lord of the Rings was subtle when it won all 11 of the Oscars it was nominated for. All right, I'm taking those onion rings out of the oil, and I'm just gonna take the oil off the heat. You wanna be careful with it, just oil, very dangerous. But I'm gonna season those up with some salt, basically as soon as they come out of that oil. That's gonna allow that salt to stick to those onion rings. Now, I do wanna pop these into the oven to keep warm. So I've got the oven at about 200 degrees. You know the classic, like I'm making pancakes and I need the oven to keep them warm for me?
Yeah.
That's what we're doing here. Okay, so we're gonna pop those in just to do their thing. And then I wanna make a dip for these onion rings. Now, way back before I started this job or any of the TV jobs, I worked in insurance, and there was this really great bar right by my office that made the best onion rings ever, and they always did a chipotle mayo with it.
Oh,
Nice.
It's a classic.
I was gonna say, are we having a dip situation
Right.
here?
Oh, yeah.
Needed.
Dip.
You simply
Needed.
must.
Yeah.
There's no reason, why would you not have a dip? So I have got a food processor here, so I'm gonna make a really quick chipotle mayo. So into there I'm going in with about half a cup of this beautiful mayo. I love a mayo. I might go a little
Love
bigger.
mayo.
I love mayo.
My husband
So
hates it.
good.
And I think he's.
What do you mean he
bonkers.
hates mayo?
Yes.
He hates mayo.
Hates mayo.
He doesn't
Double
put it on
ketchup.
his BLT.
What?
Or any sort of sandwich that you get from a fast food place, he gets ketchup.
That's bananas. No mayo? Listen, mayo. Yeah. Yes. We got some fans of mayo in the audience.
Yeah.
We got 4 fans of mayo right here. Now, in addition to the mayo for a little bit of tanginess, I'm going in with about half the amount of sour cream. So if I do about half a cup of mayo, about a quarter cup of that sour cream, then into there we're going in with some chipotle and adobo. Now you get this near where you get salsa at the grocery store. It comes in a little can, and basically it is just smoked chipotle peppers in an adobo sauce. So these, you can see the little peppers right here.
Yum.
That's the chipotle. The sauce is everything around it. So I'm gonna pop about 3 of those peppers into this food processor.
Whoa, this is picante.
Yeah, we're gonna be spicy like on the Rohinans.
Here we go.
Here we go.
On
Here
their
we go.
horses, coming in to save Helm's Deep. That's in the 2 Towers, Mary. How embarrassing.
Okay.
No one is on board. All right, so now I'm just gonna blitz this up, and you can add as much. Cheers, losing it. Okay, cool. And just until it is nice and smooth. Now, anytime I'm doing a chipotle anything, if I'm not using the whole amount, I actually blitz up the rest of those chipotle, store them in the freezer. You can
Yes.
easily then just use them, get them good to go, and you are ready
Oh, that's
to eat
smart.
chipotles, whatever you want.
Yes.
You know what, Sheer, you're up next. So would you grab the onion rings for
Yeah,
me
yeah.
from the oven? Go, I'm gonna give you these onion
Onion rings, I
He's
know.
on his-
Yes. He's
a
onion
ring.
rings.
Not so
understand.
much.
Lord of the Rings, less
Not-
onion rings. He's a
Yeah.
big
Got
fan.
no
Yeah.
idea.
Shahir, save us from Helm's Deep.
Hey! Nicely done.
What?
The Nazguls are coming. Honestly, really nicely done. All right, I'm
Look
gonna
how nice
transfer.
these
I'm
look.
gonna go bare
Beautiful.
finger right
The
on
size
here.
of my head, Mary.
Look
They
at
look
these
good.
Crunchy onion rings.
God.
Listen.
Listen to the crunch.
If we had made these as opposed to the first initial 3 elven rings and that nasty, pesky 1 ring to rule them all made by Sauron the Dark Lord himself, listen, Middle Earth would still be a happy place. It's always good.
You
Frodo
got
wouldn't
it.
even have Mary's head. All right, you know what I'm saying. Let's eat a ring.
Yeah, right?
Cheers, everyone.
Lord of the Rings.
Oh.
Okay.
Cheers.
Oh.
Dip.
We gotta get the
save
dip.
some for me.
Yes.
sorry.
Gee,
Sorry,
dip
Alex.
it. Yeah,
Shut
there we
you
go.
up there.
Did you hear that one? That's a nice ring. All right. Now that we're done
Oh,
talking about
that's
Lord of the
spicy, Mary.
Isn't it good?
That's spicy mayo, baby.
Yeah, I forgot you don't like spice.
I'm gonna hiccup.
Hey, Mary here. What did you think? Drop your comments below and don't forget to like and subscribe for more of the good stuff.